In conversation with Brooke Campbell. Brooke Campbell fantasy romances are as much about flawed characters finding lasting love as they are about exploring what strength means. A Bunch Femme Word of the Warrior series is packed full of vampire, wolf shifters, and fae. A debut novel, The Warrior Within, was a GCLE Goldie finalist in 2022. In addition to three novels, she also wrote short story for two anthologies. Brooke serves as a board member for the nonprofit Sapphic Lit Pop-Up Bookstore. Brooke is a wife live with their two somewhat benevolent feline overlords. When she isn't working a day job to feed those cats or writing, baking is Brooke's bliss. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure, joy and excitement to have on the show today, Brooke Campbell. How are you
I'm
doing
so
today, Brooke?
excited. I am wonderful. Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited as well to have you on the show today. I love your bio. Sounds to me to be quite amazing.
You
Yeah,
could say that.
absolutely. Yeah, so Brooke, I need to first say that I was really impressed and quite taken aback by your book titled The Warrior Within, which is actually the fourth book in the Warrior series. I wanted to ask you, just like we keep
Mhm.
asking all authors, writers, artists, what led you to this artwork? What led you to start this? What inspired the making of this? Is how does this come to be? What is the start up? When do you eventually know that I need to tell a story? I need to write a book. I need to do something, and the name is going to be Warrior Within. Please tell us about the foundation of this book.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I love to read fantasy romance. I love a good vampire romance. I love a good wolf shifter romance. And Peter, I have read through tons and tons. And what made me want
Yeah.
to write a story was I wasn't in the books that I was reading. My
Oh,
romance wasn't in the books I was reading. So I said, well, what if I was in there? What if a character like me was in this romance and it was a not a straight romance, but a lesbian romance? What if I wrote that? And so that's what I did. And I sat down to play around, and all of a sudden, I wrote like three paragraphs and then I could not stop. The story
mm,
just poured out of me. But it really
wow.
came down to why I wrote this was representation, the warrior within,
Yeah.
because I really like that title because
Mm.
I wanted, in addition to the what if I was in there, what if it wasn't the vampire who was the stronger character?
Mm.
What if it was someone who did not physically appear to be strong enough to save herself?
Wow.
So it became about inner strength, and the story became about other kinds of strength than, the physical prowess that we equate strength with.
Wow. I must say that I'm really impressed getting to know about your inspiration towards the making of this book. I love that you had to make that lovely, quite cogent, beautiful statement. The absence of yourself in the book you've read. Even though you are a bookaholic, you're a terrific book reader, yeah, but you couldn't find much of yourself in the
Yeah.
characters of the books you've read. You couldn't find this representation. It feels as if some certain people were secluded, were left outside. You thought to yourself, why not create a character that I would be able to relate with? Why not create a character that I would be able to, understand better? That's a lovely one, really. That's such a lovely one. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. Thank
Hmm.
you.
Yeah. And you have another book titled A Warrior for Her. Before I go into that, I'd like you to show the first one to the camera, just so we see the warrior within. Look at that. Is that a character in the book? I love the making of the
Um,
cover.
it is the main character. My publisher made sure that they were aware that this character is really important, and it is a character driven story. So I wanted her on the cover.
Oh, wow. That's amazing to know. And I'd like you to tell us about the second series in this book. That's a warrior for her. What transition, without giving much information away, actually, what transition from the warrior within to a warrior for her? And how did you come up selecting these titles too?
So warrior was really important to me, staying with that theme of warrior. And so first, she had to find the warrior within herself. And then she had to figure out how to help someone else with her strength, how her inner strength could help
Yeah.
someone else. So, a warrior for her is a continuation of the romance, but
Wow.
it's also a story about friendship. It's a story about the strength of two people who are committed to a friendly relationship, a caring relationship
Yeah.
that is outside of romance, but is, as close as siblings, and what strength you can get from that kind of relationship.
Hmm. Oh, wow. I must say, I love your answers to these questions. Quite
Thank you.
fascinating and quite beautiful, really. Thank you. Now, your characters are often flawed, yet deeply compelling, deeply captivating, deeply engrossing and engaging. How do you approach character development, especially when balancing inner struggle with supernatural element, if in any way?
Yeah, my character development is about I envision a flawed person, which is all of us, right? I
Yeah,
try to make them as human as possible. I
yeah.
try to make them as real as possible. I want them to be someone that you would know, someone in
Mm.
your life
Wow.
that you could fully relate to. And
Yeah.
so, they make mistakes and they do stupid things and um and they learn from them. And that's the hope. That's the character arc, right?
Yeah.
We It's so important that people grow. And in our own lives, we want to grow.
Mm.
So for my characters, it's about the people around them who help them notice their flaws and help them care and love them through growing out of those,
Wow.
not making those same mistakes over and over and over again.
Mm. Oh, wow. I love your take on that. Quite beautiful and quite amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank
Now, Brooke,
you.
you've written quite a lot of amazing novels. Now, I'd like us to talk about Trusting the Wolf. Your book, Trusting the Wolf, serves as a compelling spin-off to the Warrior series. Can you walk us through the inspiration behind creating the standalone story and what motivated you to expand the universe in this particular direction?
Oh my goodness, Peter. So, in the events in book two, A Warrior for Her,
Yeah.
this character, this wolf shifter, was a part of the end of this story, and she wouldn't shut up. She would not leave me alone.
Wow.
I I fully intended to write the third book of the trilogy, but she just demanded that her story be told. So that was my inspiration. Yeah, I say that with humor, but also seriously. My muse is nature, but my when I look at nature and when I walk around outside and I see trees and I see green or I see, the colors of the season, and I hear the birds or whatever animals, it opens up that creativity. And those characters start presenting themselves to me and they start
Oh,
telling me their stories. And that's how I was actually trying to finish this second book, A Warrior for Her.
mm.
And Mac and Kate wouldn't stop telling me their story.
Wow.
So I had to write it.
Wow.
It worked for me because it serves as a bridge between the second book and the third book.
Mm.
And it is a standalone. It does not have to be read as part of the series, But you do get some clues in that spinoff as to
Wow.
how the trilogy will end.
Mm. And how much do you intend? First of all, I need to say that I love that sentence. She wouldn't shut up. She said, there's
Yeah.
much to go. You can't just stop me here abruptly. Brooke, you need to continue. You can't just stop me here, please. I need to develop further. You understand? And I love the fact that you have to say, okay, I heard you. I'm gonna have to think about that and create something much like you said. So it's always lovely. And it's just like a voice in a writer's head, like, oh, it's not
Yes.
enough. The voice can come from the characters like yourself. Sometimes it can come from the readers, like what happens to this
Yeah.
person? You know, what happens later to this character? We need a follow-up story. It's always very exciting and very lovely. Quite fascinating, really. Very
Yeah, it
fascinating.
is. It is interesting how, I have these ideas about how a story should go as I'm writing it, and I start writing, and they take me in a different
And they said,
direction.
no, we're not going that way.
They're having nothing to do with that.
Oh my God. I'm like, oh no, what are you doing? We are refusing. We're not gonna follow you through that path, please. I would rather go this way. No.
Yes,
It's always very beautiful. Creativity is always amazing. It's a fun ride. Even though it's stylishly
yes,
art, it's a lovely
yes,
ride. I do love
yes,
it. And I
yeah.
was going to ask you initially about how farther are you taking us in this series? Do you have one you're currently working on? Is this the end to it? You know, is this particular standalone going to be the end to this particular, or do you have any other one you have in process that you would love to work on more?
Yes, I am about three-fourths of the way through the end of the
Ah.
trilogy.
Oh,
So I have The Warrior Within, A Warrior for Her, and book three. I haven't titled yet. It's
oh,
Warrior will be in it. But I'm writing that now. And so the spinoff, Trusting the Wolf, is just there,
mm,
sort of a placeholder. And I expect to have this manuscript to my publisher by the end of the year. I
wow.
still have to go through, my beta readers and
Yes.
editing and revising. So,
Oh, that's a lot. You're doing quite,
yeah,
I love your dedication. You've got a lot ongoing on your plate. Quite amazing, really. I hope that goes successfully.
thank
Beautiful to
you.
know.
I have a couple of more books, a couple of more characters whose stories need to be told. So
Yeah.
they're coming, but I have to finish this one first.
One step at a time. Thank you. That's so
Yes.
fun and so amazing to know. I love your answer about that. And
Thank you.
your book also blends action, emotion, and identity in a really compelling manner. I wanted to ask you, what was the most challenging part of writing it?
The action. Peter, I cannot tell you how many YouTube videos
You had to
of
go and watch.
self-defense and YouTube videos of like martial arts
Yeah.
fighting and just trying to wrap my mind around how do I describe this so
Yeah.
that
What?
the fight is real. So, I don't have experience with martial arts or any kind of fighting. So having to write it takes a lot of research and, thinking about, well, where does the foot go and how does the body shift? And
You
so
know.
the action is the hardest part, by far.
Yeah. I do love your take on that because I think there's a time in the past where I read a book of that nature and I was very intrigued on how the author described every single action. And in my head, I haven't written any novel yet, but in my head, even as a poet, I could tell that this must have taken a lot of work. And that's not even the case. If you happen to be a male writer describing such kind of
Mhm.
actions, and I would say, okay, that's fine. Maybe you're a mature artist, maybe you fought in the past, etc. But she's a lady. She's a female, young one. And I was like, that's amazing. How are you able to do that? That's so commendable. Like,
Yeah.
now I agree with you that
Yeah.
it takes a lot of, extra spice extra talent in that
Mhm.
field because you're describing action in written word format. It's amazing.
Right. And the thing is, I have to know how to write all of it
Mm,
because, but I won't put all of it on the page,
yeah,
right? So, but if there is an action I show in the text, it has to make sense for how they were last positioned. It has
absolutely.
to make sense for if someone grapples,
Mm,
well, where are they in space? I don't have to write the whole scene, every
yeah.
movement, but I do need to know where people are. And I thanks to my wife because she lets me
Oh,
put
that's
us into
wonderful.
some weird positions. I'm like, hold that,
Oh
don't
my goodness. Oh my goodness, that would have been fun. You guys should have done some kind of practicing,
yes.
and see if that's
Yeah.
gonna help with the characterization.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's just
I have a great imagination, but I can't put, multiple bodies in space at the
yeah,
same time and know where everyone is. So
yeah,
that's, yeah.
because there's a lot.
I'm about to write a large fight and I really am struggling with,
Mm,
like I need like little figures to put
yeah,
around
yeah,
on in space and really make sure I have everybody placed.
yeah,
It's a lot to it's a lot
absolutely.
to it's
Yeah,
not just that straight story. There's just a
mm,
lot of moving parts and
yeah.
that's an extra layer of challenge, but I love it. It's fun.
Yeah, and there's a lot of description that needs to go in there. There's a lot of description that needs to go in there. But that's
Yeah.
one of the things that makes reading it quite cynical in a way that the reader can paint image of what you write in their head
Yeah.
as they read along,
Right.
To love. I
Without
think
boring the reader.
this is very tricky to do. I think this is one of the reasons why writers need to be praised more for their wares. But it's a lot of work doing. But
Yes.
commendable. Very commendable. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm impressed. You should get a golden medal from English literature.
Or something, right?
Oh my goodness, that's so lovely. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Yes.
Now I'd like us to diversify a little bit into readers' feedbacks. Because one of the
Mhm.
things that intrigue me most as a writer and reader is to sit back, fold my hands, grab a cup of coffee, and listen to readers' feedbacks. And sometimes some readers may get a message intended by the author. Sometimes they might not get a message. Sometimes they might be far from getting the message. Sometimes they might be very close to getting the message. And sometimes they might just hilariously misunderstand the book and interpret it upside down. You know, as funny as they sound, I would like to ask you, how do
Mhm.
you feel when readers, if in any way you've ever experienced that, interpret your works differently than you intended? How does that make you feel as a storyteller?
First of all, I write it for me.
Hmm.
I write for myself. So I love it if someone else gets it. But
Yeah.
it's interesting to me. One of the things that I think about, you know, we talked about my characters are flawed. And
Mm.
my main character is an unreliable narrator. She doesn't
Wow.
know what's going on, and
Wow.
she doesn't want to know what's going on.
Interesting.
And for some readers, that's really annoying. They're
Mm.
like, why is she not paying attention? Why is she? And
Actually
and
distracted.
I just have to laugh because I know people like that. I know
Mm. Oh, wow.
with blinders on, right?
Mm.
And to me, when a reader has an emotional reaction, whether they're irritated, whether they're angry about something, or whatever it is, I love that because my wish is that they would be emotionally affected by what I write.
Mm.
And so when they are really annoyed with Libby, my main character, I'm like, yes, I wrote it well. She's annoying.
It's very
She
annoying.
she's a wonderful person, but she is just she walks around with blinders on. She does not want to know.
Mm.
So her journey is knowing. And I just think it's hilarious when people get annoyed with that because that's real. Yeah, it's annoying.
Oh my God. I love the fact that you've created a character that would make the reader. I think this is one of the things that make reading quite beautiful. I love to
Mhm.
read a book and the characters stick with me. And it
Yeah.
got me thinking about them even long after I finished reading the book. I've read the book yesterday. I'm still thinking of the character. And
Yes.
imagine that, how could she be that way?
Yeah.
Week past, I'm still thinking about it. Well, so it
Right.
leaves an undeletable mark in the heart of the reader. That's one of the things that make reading book quite interesting and quite amazing, really.
Yeah.
And the fact that you were
I
able to
agree.
create a bit of say, like, oh yeah, I know somebody like that in real life who has this feature. It's
Yes.
it's it's amazing as well.
Yes.
It leaves the readers emotionally engrossed in the storytelling techniques and the plot
Exactly.
twist.
If I can create an emotion in someone,
Mm,
my work is done. Even if it's
absolutely.
even if they hate the story,
Yeah.
it gave them, some kind of reaction. And if they hate it, they'll still remember it, right?
Yeah. That's so satisfactory for a
Yes.
writer. One of our lovely goals, quite beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Now, I wanted to ask you, what sort of advice would you give upcoming writers who are looking forward to writing and publishing a book, especially in your particular genre? What
Mhm.
advice would you give people in this category?
Right.
Mm.
And don't worry about what anyone else wrote.
Wow.
Write your story, write what's in your mind.
Mm.
And don't worry about how many words you're writing in a day. Don't worry about how many hours you're writing in a week. Just
Mm.
write.
That's
When
right.
the story hits you, write.
Mm.
Don't worry if you don't write every day. Just write. Publishing is a whole thing. Publishing is, oh my gosh, there's so much involved,
Yeah.
and making the decision between, do I want to self-publish and
Yeah.
do I have the funds to do
Yeah.
it well,
Yeah.
to pay for all the things?
Yeah.
Or do I find a publisher? And where do I submit? How do I do that?
Yeah.
Do I have the self-confidence to try and try and try and try?
Right.
But writing is not giving up. Becoming an
Mm.
author is not giving up. It's
Absolutely.
believing in your words
Yeah.
and trusting in your voice
Absolutely.
and just giving it time.
Mm. Wow. That's a lovely advice you've got in there. And I'm hoping that viewers, even including myself, would love to utilize it. Thank you so much
Yes.
for sharing that with us. Yeah.
Part
I like
one,
I would like you to
part one knowledge.
absolutely they are. I would like you to raise the books again to the camera one after the other, where you tell us where interested viewers can get a copy of them from.
Okay. So we have the first
Warrior
book, The Warrior
Within,
Within.
beautiful cover. It's quite voluminous.
The second book, A
Warrior for
Warrior for
Hire.
Her. I
Hmm.
can't wait to see what the publisher will do. Maybe she'll be in the center for the third
The
book. I
third
don't
one.
know.
Interesting.
And then the spin-off,
Wow.
Trusting the Wolf.
Wow, look at that. This is amazing, really. Very
Thank
amazing.
I think it's pretty amazing too. I mean, I have three books and I'm
It's
not done.
amazing.
That's pretty amazing to
It's
me.
commendable.
Yeah. So readers can go to my website. That's the easiest place. And it's my name, Brooke Campbell Writes, WRITES.com. And they, on my website, I have links to all the places my books are available. They are on print, ebook, audiobook, and also translated into Brazilian Portuguese.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I love
Yes,
that. Quite great. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested
great.
viewers can get a copy of Brooke Campbell books directly. on
Thank you.
Amazon, on Barnes& and Nobles, on our website, and also on other platforms. I also left a link to our social media pages for possible followings. So thank you so much, Brooke, for accepting the invitation to be featured on P English Literature. I must say
This
this
has been
conversation is more than awesome and very great. And thank you so much for coming on.
this has been such a pleasure, Peter. It's so great to get to know you, and thank you for this time.
Thank you as well.